Heitman, thank you very much for your time. Firstly, what's your understanding of a lockdown?
Well, basically, minimum movement by anybody to minimize contact among people, to in turn minimize the chances of further transmission. I think the only way to use the term they have of flattening the curve, the escalation of the infection rate. So that's going to be primarily movement restrictions and then keeping people apart. The more apart we are, the less we can infect each other.
The police are going to be the lead, as I understand it, or as I read from the president's lips yesterday. So the soldiers will play a supportive role. How is this going to work on the ground?
Okay, I have not seen any details, obviously, what they're going to do. But I would think, for instance, they've been talking of closing down part of the road network to prevent people moving around much. There, for instance, the Army could man vehicle checkpoints and say, right, you're on the road, where are you going, why are you going there? If you haven't got a good reason, turn around and go home. So that's one thing they can do. And similar stuff, if the police have a bit of a problem somewhere, they can help them with that. But it could go beyond that if necessary. If there's an unrest problem, for instance, because people assume shops are going to run out of stocks, conceivably you could deploy some troops to secure things, to protect hospitals, for instance. But you could also use military to, for instance, help deliver food or medicines to elderly people who cannot go and do their own shopping and whose friends and family aren't allowed to go and visit them. So there are quite a few things they can do beyond the purely soldier standing at checkpoint telling you to go back home thing.
Yeah. In the words of General Soli Shoke, that's the head of the SANDF, at some point he used the words, when the army is deployed in the streets, we only understand one language, and that is skop and donor. So what about the amount of force that is going to be used on the streets? Do you know what the measures will likely be?
Look, I would think it's the absolute minimum force as normal. Bear in mind also this is not primarily, I think, a Section 19 deployment, which is in support of the police. It's also a Section 18, which is in humanitarian aid situations, stuff like that. So while the troops will be armed because Section 19 is part of it, supporting the police, most of their work will not be involving force. I think if somebody really behaves badly and tries to force his way through a roadblock for no good reason, then they might act. It will be a case of an arrest. I don't see them running around shooting anybody. But then they might have to arrest someone, take them to the police station, hand them over. It's, I think, very much, minimum force is always a term used in riot control. But here really it's not so much a case of force, it's a case of presence. And the one thing the army can bring to the party, although it doesn't have a lot of people, is it can bring disciplined people under a proper command and control system to help do things like enforce checkpoints and things and movement controls.
Yeah. In terms of arrests, who is likely to take center stage?
Well, that would be the police. Under the regulations of Section 18, Section 19, a soldier can arrest somebody, but they've got to take them immediately to a police station. So it's really just one small step up from a citizen's arrest. They don't have the right to investigate anything. They can't detain anybody. They can just arrest and take to the police.
Yeah. The weaponry, the soldiers, we always know that they carry their rifles. What are the rules should any of them be in a position where they are forced to use that live ammunition?
Again, I haven't seen the rules of engagement for this, but I would assume that the rules are the normal ones, which is really you're only allowed to use your weapon to protect yourself or protect somebody else. I don't see the use of a weapon, say, to stop somebody who's running away. That would be done without using a rifle.
Do you think that the president announcing this lockdown, these measures are extraordinary, did he stop short of calling a state of emergency?
Look, he did, which would have had political implications, economic implications, and makes the place look as if it's falling apart, and would have looked a bit like the old regime, having states of emergency. So he stopped short of that. We're still under a state of disaster. And I think everything that needs to be done within reason can be done without a state of emergency. A state of emergency would really only become relevant if a large proportion of the population decided to simply disobey regulations.
All right. That's Helmoed Heitman. He's a defense and a military analyst. Thank you very much for your time joining us on the line there.